first win on the season. I know here in the city of Brownsville, there's matchups being discussed, and one of the matchups is between Pace and Porter. We'll both be looking for that first win, and that will end up being a big game in these rivalry games here in Brownsville.
Yep, 2 of the 6 Brownsville schools, and I think it was last week we mentioned 6 different high schools, and they all share one venue. So Sam's Memorial certainly gets his worth.
We start the fourth quarter play with the Raiders of Rivera on top. 51-0 over the Porter Cowboys. Officials still discussing things before we resume play here for the final 12 minutes of play.
So Mac High, they remained unbeaten with a Thursday win against the PSJ Bears. And the Bears, I'd mentioned in last night's broadcast, they were one of the teams who got off to a hot start, then started reeling a little bit towards the midway through their district schedule. But playoffs are still alive. First-year head coach Steve Marroquin, he's built a really solid defense in the PSJ Bears. And they're looking to get back into the win column. They've had a tough schedule, like I said, and they lost 22-13 against the unbeaten Bulldogs. And Mac High was unbeaten on the year, and a lot of people were surprised on how the Bulldogs are doing things over in McAllen.
And they're doing it and just continue to win football games. Like you said, I don't think anyone expected they would go undefeated. At least most of the prognosticators was not circling them as a team that would go unbeaten, especially at this venture of the schedule.
And you mentioned San Benito. Week in and week out, I see they get a big win and they lose a game. They get a big win and they lose a game. So I really don't know what to think of the Greyhounds. And I know coming into the season, there are a lot of high expectations for the San Benito team. But, just looking at the scores, and I've yet to see them all year, but it's obvious when you see it. You win one, you lose one. Just inconsistency.
Punting time for the Porter Cowboys. We are finally ready to get this fourth quarter underway. High, straight up into the air kick. It's going to take a Porter bounce. Rolled dead at the Rivera 34. Fortunate bounce that time for the Cowboys. That was heading for a disaster on the punt.
Just a little luck of the roll there, luck of the bounce. Now Danny Elizondo come back out on the field. Now he starts to wonder when can you give your backups a little bit of opportunities to come in and take some snaps.
Manny Martinez is listed as a quarterback in the depth chart. He's a senior. Where's number 12? But I didn't see a 12 on the sideline. So I'm not sure who a backup quarterback would be in this case. They'll run the ball off a left tackle. Raiders take it out to the 40-yard line. I do know that Edward Rubio, their tight end, who was a part of their offense moving the football against this Porter Cowboy team, is on the sideline, ankle wrapped heavily in ice. So the Cowboys will end up losing this ball game, and the Raiders will win it, but the Raiders looks like they're going to lose a player out of this deal, at least for a short period of time. Second down and 4 for the Raiders. They'll run the ball to the right side. That'll get a first down and more into the secondary, dragging a defender down near the 45-yard line on a carry by Jair Guevara. Guevara has a touchdown today for this Raider team. Finally brought down at the 45-yard line of the Porter Cowboys.
So just a reminder, can't get enough of Brownsville football. This is game 1 of the doubleheader on our schedule. The second game coming to you from 7 o'clock here at Sam's. Brownsville Veterans Chargers against Brownsville Lopez Lobos.
Tonight we'll test how fast I can get across the valley. I'll be down here to get some highlights of this one, and then all the way to Hidalgo to get some highlights as a penalty flag comes in on this run. I'll have highlights of the Killer Bees hockey team playing tonight. All coming your way on Action 4 during the 10 o'clock news break. So you'll see me, but it won't be for long when I'm down on the sidelines tonight.
Yeah, hopefully Sergio can make an appearance. He's feeling a little bit under the weather.
Sergio Chapa, of course, getting some photos taken here. We're trying to keep you posted on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Penalty against the Raiders on that run. They do stop the clock with 10:18 to go.
So I'm really excited to see Marcus Castillo. It's been a while since I've seen him play. And I know at one point the Charger offense was putting up 50 points left and right. You know, they really started to come into their own against Port Isabel. I remember that one of the first games we did together this season. It's just amazing when you see quarterbacks or younger players grow up right before your eyes.
Well, he'll be tested tonight. That Lopez team got well last week, and they are. It's going to be a good game. First down play for the Raiders. They'll run it. Guevara takes it back into Porter territory. Dropped it to 49. Second down coming up for the Raiders. Under 10 minutes left here in the ball game.
Talk about Laredo Alexander. Did you hear about that performance that Mark Losoya set up the other night?
What did he do?
He fell he just fell shy of a national record. He set a Texas high school football record, hauled in 16 passes for 448 yards, 6 touchdowns
Wow.
on the night. That's a new Texas state record. He just fell shy of a national record. And I remember the name Mark Losoya because I saw Laredo Alexander last year in the playoffs. I believe it was against Westlaco or Westlaco. He's not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Alexander has a very good squad over in Laredo, and they actually defeated Ed Cal-Chelsea earlier this year.
Yeah, and a lot of people were shocked, thinking, well, how did Ed Couch go lose that football game? And then you look at a performance like that, and when you got athletes and playmakers, which are the ones that usually doom the Valley teams in the playoffs, is when you run into teams that have multiple athletes and playmakers. And that's one certainly right there, naming the record books in the state of Texas. Pitch back right-hand side. They'll run to the ball for the Raiders, and that's inside the 40-yard line. Nevada again.
And that performance there led me into a point I was making in last night's game about how offenses have changed in high school football, and you see very few schools that will stick that old DeVere or Wishbone type offenses. And really, I can only think of two. It would be Port Isabel and Economidas of last year. You're seeing a lot of teams, spread out their wide receivers, no huddle, quick pace offense.
Fourth down play coming up. My wife just got paid. If I heard right, she's going shopping, Kevin. How does that work? Going shopping for who? That's the big question. Fourth down play, running play for the Raiders. That'll be good enough for a first down. Penalty flag on the play, though. That's going to bring it back. 7:39 left here in this ball game. Raiders up comfortably. 51-0 your score. KBSD Channel 17 here in Brownsville, assisting us with ValleyCentral.com, a live streaming audio and video presentation of high school football on a Saturday here in Brownsville.
And I think it was Andrew who asked us the other night, what's going on around Thanksgiving? What's our schedule looking like? And you said, well, there'll be a couple Valley teams playing around the Thanksgiving time, and then once you get into December, you said that was the dream round, the 4th and 5th round.
That's where the legends are made. Punting time for the Raiders. I haven't said that at all tonight, have I? It's returned by the Porter Cowboys down the left-hand side of the 35-yard line out to the 39. Nice return that time by David Pacheco. He went down injured earlier, but he showed he's back and in full steam right there on that punt return.
So I know my season started early last season, bringing all the Edinburgh football games, and then the season didn't end until December 2nd or December 3rd when we covered that last Port Isabel game. So it was a long football season. Edinburgh North season ended on December 1st. I remember because I looked at my calendar. I said, we're talking high school football in December? Wait a second.
We very well could be again this year. And I'll say this, we very well should be talking high school football in December with some of the teams that we have and the way it's lined up already as you take a look at what's out there. First down play for the Cowboys, running Foster. He'll get maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Speaking of Foster and tailbacks, how far down have the Texans came on their expectations in Houston this year in the NFL?
Well, I wasn't fooled by the glory and glamour that the Texans were displaying early on in the year. They needed a miracle comeback against the Chargers on Monday night. They squeaked away against the Titans, and finally now reeling over in Houston. And Matt Schaub is just... Case Keenum just may come in and take the realms at quarterback from U of H.
2nd 10, running play. Foster driven down. That's no gain. Nice tackle on that play. Isolate Jesus Pena, senior defensive lineman, dropping Foster on that carry. 3rd and long coming up for the Porter Cowboys. 6:16 and counting here in the 4th quarter from Sam's Stadium in Brownsville. Rivera Raiders winning easily, 51-0 over the Porter Cowboys.
They have a very tough task next week at Harlingen against the Harlingen South Hawks. We'll get to that matchup.
That will be a good test. The Raider team draw play by the Cowboys, bouncing off a couple of tacklers, and finally brought down is George Gutierrez, a sophomore. Talk about holding on to the ball until the last possible second on a draw play. You can't hold it any further than what was done that time by the Porter Cowboys. Alvarado, the sophomore quarterback, limping a little bit as he heads to the sideline after that play. 5:23 to go in the ball game and counting. Punting time for the Cowboys. Pacheco stands back for the kick. Chris Zuniga, sophomore wide receiver, will stand inside his 25-yard line for the Raiders to return this kick. Good snap. Kick is away. Zuniga will let it roll. Takes a Cowboy roll, and again, they're going to get it inside the 10-yard line. And the Raiders will start the drive at the 8.5.
We mentioned the Mercedes Tigers and how they've really rallied around themselves, and they got that big staple win against the Patriots, which that game we got to call a couple weeks ago. And speaking of that district, we mentioned Ed Couch-Elsa, and since they won that game on Thursday night, the only hiccup along the road against Mercedes, and it's at the jungle, quote-unquote, at Tiger Stadium. So it's going to be a very interesting football game, and there is no love lost between Mercedes and Elsa.
Not at all. And Isaiah Garza continues to make his long recovery trip, and he was able to come home. And so I saw in one particular interview, he was already saying, I intend to be there watching my teammates when Ed Couch comes to town. That's going to be an emotional night right there, and it is anyway. First down play for the Raiders of Rivera. They'll run it to the left-hand side and get a little room out across the 15 to about the 18-yard line.
So other than that, that's the only bump on the road for the Yellow Jackets en route to another a perfect season and another district title, at least district-wise.
Coming in, that's not a shock. That was expected this year for that football team, how good they looked on paper, what they had returning. They got over the hump last year with a big victory in the first round of the playoffs. First down for the Raiders, 4:18 to go here in the game. They'll run the ball again off a right tackle, straight up the middle for about 9. Second down coming up for the Raiders.
So you start to look at the teams who are more than likely to just go ahead and wrap up district. And that district is Ed Couch-Elsa, and then in the Sherryland Edinburgh North, again mentioned on Thursday, I had predicted for it to be Edinburgh North, Sherryland, question mark, but now that Vela seems to be out of the picture, they're the outside looking in. It's going to be a determination between Economides and Donna, just a matter of who's going to be third and who's going to be fourth.
That'll be a good matchup. First down play coming up for the Raiders. This one will get out across the 30, about the 32-yard line.
The athletic director for the Edinburgh School District's Coach Filoteo. He says, "It's been my dream to have all 4 schools make the playoffs in Vela, Jags, Edinburgh North, and Edinburgh High."
Somebody has to tell Sherryland that. And Donna.
Yeah. Just the surprise on how much the Bobcats have fallen off this year. You know, they've always been in the playoff picture. They've always been a defensive realms team. The Bobcats kind of taking a couple steps back this year, and Vela really on the uprise.
Second down play coming up for the Raiders. 2:45 here left in the game. Now fumble the football. Looks like the Porter Cowboys may recover their 3rd fumble of the day. They do. 3 times the Raiders have put it on the ground, and Kevin Narl, that's what I talk about. Next week against Harlingen, you fumble it 3 times. That's going to be a much bigger hill to climb than what is the case against the Cowboys here today.
Yeah, and just exactly what I've seen from the Hawks last night. Those 3 turnovers can easily turn into 21 points and quick. They have a lot of offensive weapons from those Hawks. They resemble the Sherryland Rattlers very well. I've seen the Rattlers before. They can score quick and often. You wouldn't even know what hit you, put in other words.
First down play. This is homecoming here for the Raiders of Rivera in Brownsville on a Saturday afternoon. 2:37 to go. Pass play by the Cowboys. Underthrown ball. Incompleted pass. Second down coming up for the Porter Cowboys. Any early score on that LSU-Florida game?
That's fine. I know your Missouri Tigers.
They won.
Pulled up the upset against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Running play, Cowboys. Foster driven down after a short gain.
LSU has an early 7-3 lead against the Gators. Look at this. Boston College leads the number 3 Clemson 7-0.
That's
8 minutes
early.
to go in the second quarter.
Oh, in the second.
I know Taj Boyd is being mentioned in the Heisman talk with Marcus Mariota and Braxton Miller and Johnny Manziel. And Clemson, they really have an explosive offense, and Sammy Watkins is one of the better wide receivers.
Speaking of explosive offenses, Oregon already on top of Washington. 7-0 at Washington. Everyone circled that if they're going to lose a game, it's going to be that one. But already their offense getting it going.
Very high-powered offenses, and we've seen what Chip Kelly's doing in the NFL, and honestly, I'm just not a fan of that type of offense in the NFL. I just solely believe it belongs in college football because defenses are smart enough, to figure out how to stop offenses like that.
48 seconds left in this one. Porter Cowboys are going to set up and attempt a 48-yard field goal. Highlight reel perhaps for the Cowboys if this one can get through. Snap a little high. They get the kick away. Never going to make it. Well short on the field goal attempt. And so the Raiders will take over. They're going to run the football now. This is a live football as they picked up on the return. Then a penalty comes in. That field goal was returnable on that kicked ball.
I think I'll just go ahead and leave my clipboard and my papers here. I'll be
Think you're
back in a couple
safe.
hours.
Think you're safe. What time is it anyway?
3:35. Game starts at 7. Probably come back a little after 6.
Action 4 Sports will have sports coming your way at the 6 o'clock hour.
Once again, the game 2 of our doubleheader here on ValleyCentral.com. The Lobos will be taking on the Chargers in another potential shootout. Myself will be bringing you the play-by-play action, and just maybe Luis Garza may make another appearance. My Saturday night partner.
Still haven't got to meet that young man yet.
Reminds me a lot of myself 4 years ago. Very nervous, excited.
How far have you come in that span? A long way.
That should wrap this
That
one up
will
here.
wrap it up. They'll take a knee, and the Rivera Raiders will win this one. Final score 51-0. Kevin Naro, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, the Raiders, they came in and did exactly what they needed to do. They have a big matchup against Harlingen South next week, which has points written all over. As for the Cowboys, keep chugging along.
And that's going to do it for the broadcast. Cowboys fall in this one. Raiders win it. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Reminding you on archive, it'll be available for you to watch. You can watch it in its entirety. And, again, check out the highlights on Action 4. For Kevin Naro, I'm Joe Bowling for BISD Channel 17 and for ValleyCentral.com. From Sam Stadium in Brownsville, 51-0 the final. So long for just a little while.